Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 115 of the GVGCast. I am once again your host for today, Ash Paulson, and I'm joined by the one and only, the lovely Daniel Alba for today. How's it going, man?
Hello, how's it going? So good to see you. I am still recovering. It's just always one thing after another. If it's not my actual throat, it's the con sickness. It's just, I guess I contracted it from no one.
I know, I feel so bad because, like, as y'all know, I have not been on the show for the past couple of weeks. That's because I have been traveling. I did Gamescom with John a couple of weeks ago, and then I did PAX West with you and Steve just last week. And I seem to be the only one who got through. Well, John and I both actually got through unafflicted because poor our good friend Xeon from Nintendo Life unfortunately got COVID from Gamescom. John and I didn't, and then I did PAX West and came away with nothing. And you got just a cold, it sounds like. But you're feeling better, I trust?
Yeah, I'm so sad. I wanted to see Xeon. We were going to hang out and chat
I
and street
know.
pass and do all that fun stuff. And
I
it's funny
know.
that even Felix was there. There was going to be like a Nintendo
Right.
Life crew over there. But at least I got to meet Felix and a bunch of other people that I hadn't seen before this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I sound funny, it's not actually my voice all the way. It's actually partly getting over the cold. My voice can't catch a break, but that didn't stop me from recording a video earlier today. So I'm also a little worn on that front. I'm trying to not rest my voice as much. I need to keep like exercising it essentially so that I doesn't get like worn out because the muscle of it has to like kind of regain its strength again. So I'll be trying to chat a bit more often. But otherwise, we're fine. I'll live, as my dad says.
Yes, well, for sure. I mean, we are glad you're living. We're glad we're all living. And to answer your question, Jackamon, in the Twitch chat, Steve, as far as I know, did not catch anything either. So yes, I should have included Steve in that. So somehow, me, John, and Steve got through by the skin of our teeth, I guess. And I'm feeling particularly lucky and thankful because I did 2 shows. In across 2 different countries. So I'm like feeling super lucky that I didn't catch anything. Particularly because it was my birthday this week, and it would have been, kind of sucky to have be sick on my birthday. But speaking of birthdays, we have quite a few patron birthday shout outs to do because, again, I wasn't here for the past couple of weeks, and as far as I understand, the shout outs were not done for those weeks. So here we go. Happy belated birthday to Tux Ping, who celebrated theirs on August 29th. Manita, who celebrated theirs on August 30th. Wataniac, who celebrated theirs on August 31st. And I was actually able to see him and hang out with him in person on his birthday because he was there at the PAX West community meetup. And you were there, of course, too, Daniel. So we got to hang out with him on his birthday. Happy belated birthday to both Dat Alpha Lion and Brandon's own daughter, Ella, who celebrated their birthdays on September 2nd. Double A, who celebrated theirs on September 6th. D-Dog 10132, who celebrated theirs on September 8th. And finally, both ATM and myself, who celebrated theirs/ours on September 10th. I share a birthday with our community member ATM, which is super, super cool. So happy birthday to everybody over the past couple of 3 weeks or so.
Happy birthday. Shout out to Wataniac, who gave me a gift, which didn't feel right. I was gifted those really nice blue, like that, I forgot what color blue, that blue shell for the PS5. So I replaced my white ones, and now they match my controller over there. It's a little too far away for me to reach to, but thank you so much. All I was able to give Wataniac was a little pin. That's all I was able to give them.
I know.
If you were at PAX, we had given away some enamel pins that Steve put together. I designed the pin, the logo itself, obviously, and then the little front and backing of it. I hope we get to do more of those because they seem really popular. We almost ran out. Like, this is like one of the last ones I have just in the package. But yeah,
everybody wanted them. Like, it was even the Nintendo reps who helped us out on Friday morning with our appointment for the Mario Party Jamboree preview and the Echoes of Wisdom preview. They wanted GVG pins, which is really cool.
Nintendo reps wanted one. Kit and Krista, they both wanted one, so I made sure to go see their panel, not just to give them the pin, but also to hang out and say hello. We gave them some pins as well. It was very nice to see that this little GVG logo was so well received as a pin. I got it on my bag now too. So
yeah, man, you did such a great job with it, and I too want to echo you in thanking Wataniac, who also sent me a really lovely present that happened to coincide with my birthday. But he sent me a Sayonara Wild Hearts vinyl, which is like so cool.
Wow.
He knows exactly what I love. Obviously, he knows I love video game music and I collect them on vinyl, but he also knows that I love Sayonara Wild Hearts in particular. So thank you for such a for such an amazing gift, perfectly attuned to my tastes, man. Seriously, very, very kind of you. And yeah, really, really appreciate it. And my wife was like, "Oh my God, he really knows you." And I'm like, "Yeah, he knows exactly what I like."
How does he know?
So seriously, thank you so much. And I guess right now, since we're just doing the patron birthday shout outs, and I did mention our Echoes of Wisdom preview, most of you, if not all of you, I'm sure already know this, but just a quick PSA. Echoes of Wisdom has officially leaked, unfortunately. So if you're trying to avoid spoilers about the game, like I know we all are, just be very, very careful. I hate that these games continue to leak 2 to 3 weeks early. I guess 2-ish weeks early in this case. So yeah, just be careful. It's out there. People are spoiling the game, breaking it wide open. I hate that keeps happening, but yeah, just be spoiler safe out there, everybody.
Well,
And
that doesn't dilute the coverage we did at PAX, which you can check out on the channel. We did some coverage, some behind the closed doors Nintendo coverage of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. We were all kind of just passing off the controller to each other, playing. That was really fun. And then we got to play Mario Party, Super Mario Party Jamboree, which also has a preview on the channel by me. So you can take a look at those. If no one leaks Mario Party, why doesn't Mario Party take the bullet for Zelda and get leaked instead? I want to know what other boards are on there. I don't care. Spoil me.
I know, right? Yeah, I wouldn't mind actually. I mean, I don't want games to leak, period, because it's it sucks for the development teams. But I would mind. I wouldn't be worried about Mario Party spoilers. I'm actively trying to avoid Zelda. But yeah, I'd love to know what other stuff is in there. What stuff they haven't shown us. But yeah, no, leaks in general are not a good thing, though. Of course. Speaking of PAX, though, one of my, if not like one of the coolest things that happened to me, and I feel silly that I was just so caught up in everything that I didn't realize it at the time. But and I retweeted this a few days ago. There is some footage out there going around to Super Mario Party Jamboree of a perfectly played meat cutting minigame. And I have to just say it here because it's like the coolest thing. I didn't realize it at the time, unfortunately, but when I did later realize it, I'm like, this is so cool. So I was one of the people playing that minigame in that footage. And the other person was Clive himself, the Ben Starr. And he is my perfect partner in Super Mario Party meat cutting because I can't. The whole room was like, how did you guys do a perfect 50-50 3 times in a row? And I don't know how we did it, but apparently Ben and I are just really good at cutting meat or something.
And you didn't even know who he was.
Yeah, I didn't at the time. I was just so caught up in everything. I'm not a morning person, and our appointments were first thing in the morning, so I was just kind of focused on doing the work, getting the impressions, furiously typing down notes on my phone. And then I didn't realize until afterward that it was Ben Starr, but I still think that's pretty damn cool. And I'm hoping now this means I'm going to awaken as an icon of Mario Party. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah,
Steve and I were both before the show started, before the event started. Steve and I looked at each other and was like, "Is that Ben Starr? That's totally Ben Starr." And I thought you just knew, but you didn't.
I know.
And I was just sitting next to Ben Starr on a couch, just playing a casual board of Mario Party Jamboree on Mega Wiggler's Tree Party. We partied it up together. We fought each other. We became friends next to each other after when we did the multiplayer and co-op stuff. We took a photo later with the little mushroom pillow, so I'm gonna treasure that photo because who just plays Mario Party with Ben Starr? Not everyone. That's not every
I know,
day
and I don't even get a picture. I have the memory of playing the minigame perfectly with him, but I didn't even get a picture. But I'm sure we'll cross paths again. We seem to see him a lot at shows. So
I'm sad we didn't at least capture the footage so we can prove that this happened. But it was.
I know.
It was we know what happened.
Well, it's going around out there though because I retweeted like an image of it at least, maybe not footage, but an image of it, and so the story is out there, and possibly footage is out there too, but it is on Twitter, and I didn't realize that until I saw someone mentioning that on Twitter about how Ben had played this minigame perfectly, and I was like, that I was the other person, I was the other partner in perfect meat cutting. So yeah, that was really, really cool.
Wow.
John and I also ran into it. Actually, kind of went right by him at Gamescom. We just crossed paths, but didn't actually have an appointment together. But we seem to run into each other a lot, so I'm sure there'll be another chance. Also, thank you to everyone in both chats who sent me birthday wishes. I super appreciate it. I see you. And Frequent Positron, I'm so sorry you got sick on your birthday, but at least you got to spend the day
Uh,
in bed playing video games. So there are worse things, I guess. Um, but yeah, so had a great time at PAX, and then also Gamescom. I don't really get a chance to hang out with John very often, considering he's clearly in another country. But we got to spend like a whole week together, pretty much, and that was super fun. It was John and Zion and myself, and we had a great time. You can see our Dragon Quest III preview. That we put up on the channel from Gamescom, and that seems to be doing pretty well, which is cool. And I should actually mention one other thing. We did play another Square game at Gamescom that I want to talk about really quickly because we couldn't make it its own video because I'm not sure there are enough people really hyped about it to support its own video. But we did get a chance to play Romancing Saga 2: Revenge of the Seven. I don't know if any of you out there are Saga fans, but John and I got to play it, and I think I liked it a little bit more than he did. What about Danny? Are you a Saga fan at all?
that's another series that I'm just like I should try and get into that at least. So I'm not familiar with it myself.
Right. Well, and I think this might be a good way to do that if you can find time for it, because I didn't think John quite enjoyed it as much as I did, but for me, I've tried to get into the Saga series before with games like Saga Frontier 2, Unlimited Saga, and they're just too obtuse gameplay wise for me to really get into. They're too obtuse, and I know that's a common complaint about the series. But this remake of Romancing Saga 2 kind of streamlines a little bit of the gameplay and especially the battle system. It kind of makes it feel like a kind of a PS2 era JRPG with some just kind of weirdness to it. But like, it feels like something that's much more approachable than any other Saga game I've ever played, especially for an outsider to the series. And that may make it something that series veterans don't appreciate as much, but for an outsider like myself, who's never really been able to get into the Saga games, the Romancing Saga 2 remake really does streamline and kind of lower the barrier of entry, I think. So if you have time to check it out, I think you might like it, Daniel. But I think the biggest issue facing this game is no matter how good it is, it's coming out in such an incredibly packed time for games. And it's going to have a hard time standing out, especially against Square's other own release coming the following month, Dragon Quest III. So
Mhm.
I think it's worth checking out, especially for people who haven't been able to get into the Saga series before. But it's going to have a hard time, I think, standing out among all the other games that are coming out, you know?
Oh yeah, there's so many things coming out just in the next few weeks. I can't even like things that just came out this week. I'm trying to keep up with.
Dude,
Um,
I hear you. Yeah.
one of the ones that came out this week was episode I guess that everybody apparently forgot about, and I was like,
Right.
oh yeah, that's coming out this week. The answer from Persona 3 Fest. I am currently doing a sort of review on it, not just a review, but also like a reflection of how this holds up in the year 2024 as an episode that was pretty much was almost lost to time since Persona 3 Portable became like the definitive edition of Persona 3 to be released. So I'm more than halfway through. I pretty much have everything recorded and whatnot. I just need
Nice.
to get that review put together. I don't know how it's gonna do. We're doing more reviews on the channels now, so I mean, if someone checks it out and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, that sounds fun," then good to get more of word of this game out there. But yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff to say about it.
Nice. Well, I know I, as much as anybody in our audience, am looking forward to your review, man. And yeah, that came out like the MVC collection just came out digitally. Like, I need to find time for that too, because obviously I was really excited about that. I love fighting games, especially Marvel versus Capcom, but I'm still playing Astrobot. And like, I'm almost all the way through Astrobot, and I don't want it to end because it is I don't think I have the words in my vocabulary to describe this game. Like, I knew exactly how hyped I should be for it. I knew it was going to be incredible, and it is still absolutely flooring me every minute. I can't believe this game, and it's just sheer joy in video game form. I don't want it to end, even though I'm really appreciative of Team Asobi for sticking to their guns and not making a gigantic open world. Just like, no, we're going to keep it focused. We're going to keep it tight. 10 to 15 hours of more linear, smaller worlds. We know we want to make, and we're going to stick with that. And you can tell it was the right decision because it is, in my opinion, one of the best games of the generation. It is a once in a generation kind of game.
those are more of the time. Those are more of the kind of titles that we need to see more often.
Yeah.
And it's funny how this kind of occurs in a year where Sony said, "Oh, we're not going to have any major releases this year. We're not going to have anything large and nothing groundbreaking to come out." And Team Asobi has been just cooking in the background, saying, "Just you wait." And then this game comes out and just blows everyone out of the water. I hope it sends some kind of message to Sony about the kind of
I hope so
titles
too.
that what we want to see, what we plan to see. You you don't really see games like Astrobot being like highlighted very much when you see, you know, big old
No.
presentations that are like, oh, these are our big, impressive, realistic looking games. And then you even see games like Final Fantasy VII and whatnot on there. But with this, I think it shows that how technical a game can be and impressive in that kind of fidelity. Because like every single stage of this game, we could break it apart as much as we could, like in its own discussion. But like the fact that every stage is so focused in what it wants to do and show off, every power up that you
Yeah.
see, whether it's like the dog that boosts you forward or the two froggies that are like the arms punching um
Yeah.
uh
The froggy
gloves,
arms.
or the
Yeah.
or the
The froggy
chicken that
gloves.
boosts you up. Yeah, every stage pretty much focuses in every segment, uh experiments with this as much as possible, and then sometimes you'll get a break from that, and then more than likely it'll show up again later on in another stage for more experimentation. And I wish it's just the right amount of gameplay and exploration that I think we needed in a 3D platformer at this day and age. Like, and there's just so much about it that you can tell the developers are having so much fun. Every stage has way not too many, but it has so many things that you can just move around and flutter
It's
and
so
have like the
yeah.
not, and it's not even like particle effects. There's just like just particles themselves, like everything individually rendered. There's like a bunch of petals or acorns or apples or the
Yeah.
gems. I posted a video of the gems that just rains down on you and endlessly, and
Oh, I
how there's
love that. Yeah.
absolutely not a hitch of lag, or there's no frames dropped during that entire sequence. And I'm just like, how did they do this? I don't even know how it's even possible to render that many things at once. And that's the power of the PS5. And it got even a bigger boost because everyone keeps talking about how PS5 Pro, uh you don't need a PS5 Pro to do something like this. And I think
Yeah.
it's exactly where, if you focus that kind of power of the PS5 elsewhere that pretty much no one else has really been tapping into, you make a game like Astrobot that really stands out. And I also really love all the not just references, but also the animations. They're all animated so
Oh yeah.
articulately and so lovingly. I just want my own Astrobot now.
I know there are the little animations and everything that there are so many amazing little bits of detail all over the game that just you could tell how much they love what they're making, how much they really believed in this project. And of course, I have to mention the incredible haptics. I just like walking around on different surfaces and punching different things just to feel it because it all feels so cool and amazing. And I don't, I'm obviously not a developer, so I'm sure obviously if you're a developer, you can explain very calmly the way these amazing things are made. But because I'm not a game developer, to me, it feels like actual magic. Like you were talking about the gems raining down. I was just jumping back and forth through the gems raining down. I'm like, this feels so cool. Like, how did they do this? It feels like actual magic that they put together. And it's not just that, it's when you're in the water levels, when you're swimming against currents and you can feel the individual bubbles in the controller. It's like, it's nuts. And I don't know how they did it, but I'm just so unbelievably happy they did. I mean, they completely delivered on the promise of Astro's Playroom, everything you loved about it, but just bigger and more of it, and even better somehow. And Wotaniac, I think, put it perfectly. I kind of was thinking about this too, but they said it's basically just Galaxy 3. And I kind of agree. Like, we can't even get Nintendo to acknowledge Galaxy 2. And meanwhile, Team Asobi are over here saying, yeah, that's cool. We're just going to go ahead and make Galaxy 3. Don't worry about it. And it does feel like Mario Galaxy 3, except on a 4K 60 FPS level, like you also said, Wotaniac.
the the, tr-
It's incredible.
the trilogy is finally complete. We got the
I
third
know.
game on a PlayStation platform. But yeah, like it's it made me stand back a bit when I told myself while I'm playing, like, wow, I haven't had haptics feel like this since I played Astro's Playroom. And then I'm just like, oh, you know what? Like, I play other PS5 games. I played Horizon, I played Spider-Man 1 and 2, and Miles Morales. And the level of haptics and feedback and the way that they utilize the controller with this microphone, you can hear every little step Astrobot takes, all the little things he bumps into, every individual item that he runs into and move in his movements and whatnot and interacts with. And yeah, like no one but Team Asobi feels like they've really tapped into this as much as very few teams have tapped into what the controller, the DualSense can do since then, since then and now. And it shows that they really have mastered the use and utilization of these features that just bring it to life. And not only brings it to life, also kills my controller way sooner,
I
but it's
know.
worth it. It was worth it for Astrobot.
It's so worth it. Yeah, there aren't. The only other game I can think of that comes close to matching Astro's haptics is Ratchet and Clank
Ratchet and
Rift
Clank.
Apart, and that game does
Yeah.
have amazing haptics, definitely. Some games get part of the way there, like as you said, Horizon Forbidden West, which has nice haptics, just not anything on the level of this, and also FF7 Rebirth. But yeah, it's just games like Astrobot and Ratchet really do stand heads and tails above the rest when it comes to their. Oh, and Spider-Man 2, good one, Cadylvania, Cutie of the Moon, good one. Spider-Man 2 has excellent haptics as well. I agree. So does Miles Morales by extension. But yeah, this game is absolutely. I think it stands shoulder to shoulder with the best of Nintendo's best platformers easily. And I hope Sony's listening because I want more of this kind of thing from PlayStation. I'll take your Horizons, your Last of Us, your all that Spider-Man. I'll take that stuff's great too. But I miss this specific kind of content from PlayStation, and I really hope they just let Team Asobi keep cooking and doing what they do best. And with the way the game industry is these days, I don't have necessarily complete trust that that'll happen. I just have to cross my fingers and hope it does, especially given what happened with Microsoft this week and the latest round of layoffs. And of course, all my condolences go out to everyone affected by those layoffs because that's just unconscionable what happened. And Microsoft is in such a weird place right now, and so I hope all of you land on your feet. But yeah, it's a weird time for the industry, but I hope Sony is listening. And I mean, God, I could go go on about Astrobot forever, but of course we can't do that because we have the rest of the podcast to do. But what else are you playing right now, Matt? Anything else besides Persona 3 and Astrobot?
And then those are pretty much the ones I wanted to bring up before we move on to anything else. Yeah, the Persona and also Astrobot, which has Persona references in it, which made me
Yeah,
happy.
that was cool. And of course, we're not going to go into spoilers because there's so many cool references and cameos in Astrobot. Not everyone's found them all yet. So I certainly have come across some that just had my jaw dropping. I'm like, what? How is this character in this game?
The deep cuts.
Yeah, the deep cuts for sure. Let's see. I've also been playing a little bit of Castlevania Dominus Collection, mainly on the planes to and from the various places I've been recently. Just kind of nursing a little replay of Dawn of Sorrow, which is still such a good game. I know Ecclesia is considered the best of the DS trilogy typically, and I agree. But Dawn of Sorrow is still a really, really good game, and it's just as good today as it was all those years ago. And then, I unfortunately can't put as much time into it right now because of all the stuff coming out, but I am continuing to chip away at Octopath Traveler 2. As I said, I started a fresh playthrough after dropping it last year because of mainly Zelda, to be honest. But this game is just too damn great not to play. So even though I probably won't finish it until next year, given the pace I'm going, because it's just such a huge game, it is just way too good not to play. And that soundtrack is just insane. So I am working on that. I've got to find some time for MVC Collection. I also would like to play Emio. I played the demo of Emio, really liked the story setup in the first 3 chapters, so I would need to find time to play the rest of that. That picture with Taniac just posted is both amazing and terrible at the same time. And then, of course, Plucky Squires next week. I got to play that. And then Zelda at the end of the month. So I can't put too much time into Octopath right now, but I'm not going to drop it again because it's just too fantastic not to play. It's so good.
Only other thing I've been playing was Splatoon 3. Grand Festival's happening this weekend.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
anyone else for Team Past, I'm out there supporting you.
Brandon posted some pictures in our crew channel from the Grand Splatfest, and it seems really
Yeah.
cool. He was saying it's awesome, so I got to check it out. I love that they literally are treating this as a like real music festival with like each band having their own or each group having their own set lists. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, you gotta check it out. The entire hub has changed specifically for this
Ah,
for the weekend.
I got to
Um,
check it out for sure.
it gives me those weird like it gives me those vibes of like yeah, you're going to a completely homemade festival concert. People are hanging out there. You see certain characters are chilling out there as well. You walk in, you get splashed with ink, so it's like that's your little sign that you're in there. And yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
just a spectacle.
Nice, nice. I'm definitely going to check that out at some point this week. I am having a birthday party tomorrow night, and I got to get things ready and clean before that. But I'll try to sneak in a little Splatfest time just to check it out before it ends. But yeah, so that's happening, and of course later this week or earlier this week, and I have to give Sony credit for giving me a really good laugh on my birthday. But we did react to the PS5 Pro reveal, and I went back and watched our reaction to it because I remember having a really good, just hearty ass laugh about it when I saw the price, and I definitely did. And I went back and watched it and made myself laugh because we all just started cackling. We're like, "What are you thinking,
I
Sony?" And
if you
what do you?
if
Yeah,
you listen to the beginning of that, I jokingly say $699, and then it
yeah.
happened. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean
And
that.
then it happened. And that, of course, is before the disk drive. If you want to get a physical capable version of the PS5 Pro, you got to drop like another $80 on the disk drive.
And the
And then, of
stand,
course, and the stand, and
it
that's
doesn't
all
come with a
before
stand.
tax. Yeah,
You want to
it
pay for
doesn't
this
come with
piece
a
of box.
tax. So you're basically you're getting crack 800 before if you want all those things. It's going to be over 800 before tax,
For
and it's yeah,
minimal update, like we've really hit a plateau. This is diminishing returns of like how good can you make a game look. There are very few people that are going to care
yeah,
about how much different it looks. I'm satisfied looking at Astrobot the way it is, like that and other games as well. Like I don't
same.
need an update, and the audacity to not give it the disk drive of just
I
you
know.
have to attach you have to get it separate for people. It's punishing people that just want to have physical, which hardly even
Mhm.
matters anymore because when you get physical, you have to download the entire game anyways straight to your console.
Yeah.
So it's like it's almost doesn't really matter anymore. Like you might as well just go all digital at that point. But we can we have to have a way for these people who have committed to physical to also play,
Yeah.
and it's another
To
eighty
at least not
dollars.
offer the option is pretty ridiculous, and offer two different SKUs like they did for the regular PS5. It's just insane. And as you, Professor Bonk, I just yeah, as I also mentioned during a reaction stream, and you make a great point, Professor Bonk. It's even worse in other territories. It's so much money in Japan, for example. Yeah, in places like Canada, I think it's $950 in Canada.
Ridiculous.
That's a grand basically. You're spending $1,000 on a game console, and like you said, Daniel, for such a relatively slight update. I mean, I know, and I John Linneman is a buddy of mine. Like we've talked before, and I trust his opinions. I love his videos on Digital Foundry, and he did tweet earlier that FF7 Rebirth looks noticeably better on PS5 Pro. And I believe him. But I'm also in the same camp as you, Daniel, where I didn't play games like FF7 Rebirth or Spider Man 2 or Horizon Forbidden West and ever think once, man, I wish this looked better. Yeah, there's some weird lighting in Rebirth. Yeah, Cloud's character model can look a little wonky especially on his face, from certain angles, especially in weird lighting. It's not perfect, but never once did I think, oh man, this game doesn't look good enough for me to want to play it on this hardware. I thought Rebirth looked incredible, and I played it at the 30 FPS mode. And usually I'm a 60 FPS guy, but I was able to, kind of get used to it probably because I played the original remake at 30 as well. And I thought this game just looked incredible. And never once was I'm like, oh man, I wish I had a better console for this, you know?
I am a at heart homegrown Nintendo fanboy. We've always had underpowered consoles. We've always had
True.
smaller, lesser graphics. So anything that looks HD is like it's still a novelty. It's still a luxury to me. I don't
Uh-huh.
need. I'm easy to please. Essentially, I don't need to have like incredible 4K. What are we gonna get? 8K at this eventually at some point with 60
Yeah.
FPS playing in the back. I don't need that. And
No.
see, the weird thing is, like, compare this now to the infamous $599 of the base launch PS3. That could also play. That was also backwards compatible. That added a lot of value to that console in particular. This isn't. You can't play anything except, well, you can't backwards compatible anything with the PS5.
Right.
If they added even something like that with any kind of backwards compatibility, you already add a lot of value to that console. But here it's just, you're just paying for like the AI upscaling for the bigger GPU or whatever, and
Yeah.
the increased fidelity, which I just don't find worth it. This is for the people.
Same.
These are for the people who are much like those who buy Apple products and they'll trade in their phone year after year, except it's a different model. It's not the same. And so I don't know what Sony's planning to accomplish with being so bold or just arrogant, ignorant, putting this price out there.
Yeah.
The
I
really
mean,
hardcore people are going to get this, and that's pretty much it.
yeah, and even our very own Steve, who is a noted tech file, he loves having the latest and greatest tech. He admits it. That's just something about his personality, what he really likes to do. Even he was saying on our reaction stream that he's like, "Oh, that price point is that's a price point for sure." Like he wasn't like, "That's kind of worth it." And he was just like, "Oh yeah, I can see the update. Like I can see why the tech is better." But 700 Sony, really? And if you've lost Steve on something like that, I feel like you've lost even some of the harder core people too.
Yeah, I mean, who is this for? Is this for even people that don't have a PS5 to begin with? They can just get the cheaper model, and
Exactly.
there isn't so much of a difference that it justifies the other extra hundreds of dollars to pay for that. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know business. What do I know?
Right. I what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and you were talking earlier when we were talking about Astrobot. You kind of made the point that Astrobot itself is almost a case weirdly against the PS5 Pro, because you play it and it looks and runs. It looks incredible. It runs perfectly. You get the haptics. Like you've already got something that looks mind-blowingly good. Why would you play that and then go, oh man, I need a PS5 Pro? Obviously different games are going to have different bars to clear. Rebirth obviously is a whole different conversation, but still, man, I don't know.
It's
Not for
also
me. That's for sure.
It's also not the spaceship. The PS5 Pro is ugly. It's not Astrobot's spaceship. It's not the right one anymore because it's a different
No, it's
model.
true.
So
Yeah.
it's all automatically obsolete. No, I'm just kidding. If you really want to buy a PS5 Pro, I'm not going to judge you for that.
Oh, of
But
course
I'm
not.
just going to say that Sony could really needs to take a step back and recalculate their priorities here. So
Definitely. And let's just hope that one of those categories includes letting Team Asobi cook and grow and can give them more budget to do bigger and better things in the future, although it's really hard to imagine anything bigger and better than Astrobot, honestly.
man,
So
you let Team Asobi cook with the PS5 Pro, and I swear I'm gonna probably the ray tracing on Astrobot's helmet. I'll probably see myself in it if I look close enough. If they're given too much power, that's how
right, I
powerful
know.
the.
I want
Yeah,
Team Asobi to be able to make a rhythm-based something, a Parappa rhythm-based something. It can be a Parappa 3, it can be a rhythm platformer, it can be a rhythm-based JRPG with timing-based attacks. I just want imagine them cooking with Parappa's art style. That would be amazing, right?
there's so many things I know they can do, and we're
Yeah.
just missing like stylized art styles on the PS5 and
Yeah.
smaller titles that can make use of that. Everything doesn't need to be like 5+ years Hollywood level made games that take forever to
So
come
true.
out, and sometimes they just flop, like Concord did the same week that
Oh,
Astrobot came out.
I know. Somebody
Uh,
somebody really mean posted a tweet, and you probably saw it, Daniel, but took a screenshot of one of the Astrobot skeletons and said, "Found the Concord bot." So mean. I'm like, no, it's too soon.
oh man,
It's too soon. I genuinely,
gosh,
of course, we're laughing about that mean joke, but I do feel so bad for Concord's developers. That really sucks. Just the saga of how that game, of everything that happened. Don't need to get into the details, but it just must suck so much for the development team, and my heart goes out to them. It really does. It's not a game that I personally was interested in, but people who played it seemed to really enjoy it, or at least some of the people who did seem to really enjoy it. And it's
Well,
just, you never want to want that to happen to a game,
if anything, I'm hoping that, I mean, those devs were paid a good amount for those 8 years that they worked, and now it's pretty much
Yeah.
the bigwigs that are suffering because their game isn't selling. Um, so I mean, all the best wishes to those devs as well. I know you can do something that's even better out there. So
Yeah. Well, I did when I was gathering some things to potentially talk about today. I did get a little bit of a laugh from this. Apparently, 69 players, exactly 69 players, earned Concord's Platinum Trophy before it was taken down. Which, of course, I have to follow that up with the obligatory nice. But how could how does that happen?
what a
Like the
fitting
nice
end.
number. What a fitting end, right? Yeah. So we've got another big gaming show coming up. I will not be going to this one, unfortunately, although it is on my bucket list. I do want to cover this show eventually at some point. That, of course, is Tokyo Game Show. And we were talking about Persona earlier, and we now know that there are going to be 3 unannounced titles from Sega Atlas to be revealed at the show. And that's
Three,
that's a large number, right? Like I wasn't
three.
thinking, yeah. Also, I know my camera's borked. I'm gonna plug it back in. Sorry, everybody.
Well, there he
But yeah,
goes.
this has been happening all day. I apologize.
I'm trying to imagine what Atlas and Sega are going to show here that isn't what they've already shown. I mean, we've got
Right?
major new IPs like Metaphor coming out. I mean, we just had episode I guess come out as a DLC for that. I mean, I could eye in the sky other Persona projects, but that's probably not going to be what it is. So I'm curious to see what they'll unveil here at the
Yeah.
game show.
Could it be like I don't follow Warhammer very closely. Could it be a new Warhammer game? Maybe did the last one come out very recently? Like there's that.
Maybe.
It can't be a new Sonic game because we're about to get Sonic X Shadow next month. So I can't imagine they're going to announce a new Sonic game right
Oh man,
before.
bring me that kart racer. Give us
Oh, new
so
kart
we get
racer.
a new Sega All Stars. We can add Persona to that one. Now we Joker in a cart. Forget Smash Brothers. Here's the real one.
Oh man.
Oh
Or just
no,
just a remastered All Stars Racing Transformed would make me very happy.
that'd be fine too. Honestly, I want to play that again with actual being able to play with actual people
Yeah,
on a
that would
modern
be
console.
awesome. Hobo Edgeworth mentions Persona 5 dancing, but it's finished. That would be a nice surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, man, I don't know what they could be. I mean, 3 is so many games, right? It just seems like a lot.
So we also just got SMT 5 Vengeance earlier this year too. So it was SMT. All the titles were cooking this year. Well, what are they do? What are they doing right now?
I guess
I don't
Like a
know.
Dragon is fairly likely. I mean, we know that there is a RGG Studio Direct or whatever presentation coming up pretty soon. I think it's like next week. It's like at 3 a.m. Pacific, so I won't be watching it. But RGG are having like a presentation soon where I think they said they're announcing a new project or what's next for the Like a Dragon franchise. So it
Oh
has been
boy,
now, what,
3
about
a.m.
9 months since Like a Dragon 8 came out. So that probably is one of them, I would think.
Yeah, I'll be curious to
Yeah.
see what that is because I will be tuned in. There's always a lot of good announcements at the Tokyo Game Show, so I'll definitely
Yeah.
be keeping my ears low to the ground for that one.
Definitely. Yeah, but it's I'm always excited when Sega says they've got new stuff coming, especially because we know from the TGA last year that they're working on revivals of so many of their
Hmm.
legacy IPs. So although we already know about those, so logic dictates it's probably not one of those. These are like genuinely stuff we don't know about. So yeah, super looking forward to finding out what all 3 of those games are. I guess that's kind of I guess we should mention Anaperna really quick. Anaperna, one of the premier indie game publishers that I always pay attention when I see Anaperna's logo in a
Hmm.
game trailer. Their entire staff resigned all at once following a dispute with Anaperna's owner, which is troubling to say the least because they've got multiple games cooking right now under their label. And what happens to those games? I mean, hopefully they staff back up quickly or are able to figure this out because they've got multiple indie developers depending on them to play their part in the publishing of these titles.
Yeah, it's it's just one team after another that this is happening to, and I really hope that we can
Yeah.
get more people to pick them up and give them jobs that they're definitely suited for. Because I mean, Anaperna is incredible. I don't know why. Well, I've long since stopped trying to determine why this is happening, and just kind of, unfortunately, we're just accepting the fact that a lot of companies are just gutting a lot of good developers for seemingly no reason. At the end of the day,
Yeah, well, from what Jason Schreier reported, they were negotiating with the owner of Annapurna to spin out. I guess they wanted to. I'm not quite sure what spinning out means in this context, but I
mm,
assume it means they wanted to have like another branch of Annapurna spun off into focusing on maybe other media or something. But man, to have your entire staff collectively resign over it, it had to be something extremely serious.
yeah, that's insane.
Oh, as Professor Bonk says, they wanted to have the gaming division as a separate division from Annapurna itself, and that didn't happen. Okay, so that I can see why
Huh.
that would cause enough upset for people to want to leave like that. They wanted to basically separate what makes Annapurna Annapurna from the main company itself, and that's kind of grody.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. It's crazy. Just let,
Yeah.
just let them do their thing. Is that so hard?
Well, and it's tough too because Annapurna as an indie publisher, they're responsible for so much. I mean, not just funding the games, but doing stuff like handling stuff like quality assurance, finding the teams for that,
Hmm.
adapting products for local markets, according to this Bloomberg article. Um, Marketing, there's so many pain points here caused by Annapurna just kind of collapsing for these indie devs. And man, they've got so many things cooking right now. I hope the games and those development teams are going to be taken care of.
Yeah, I.
So fingers crossed. I mean, amazingly, Tango GameWorks had a happy ending, so we do know that sometimes these things can turn around and turn out okay. And hopefully, in a future GVG cast, that's exactly what we'll be talking about. But yeah, fingers crossed because Annapurna is consistently responsible for many of my favorite indie games, and they bring games to market that I would not have known about if not for them, like Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is one of my favorite indie games ever. So yeah, it's not a full closure to make it clear to everybody in chat. Not a full closure, but everybody did leave at once, and we just have to
Mhm.
see what happens next. But in terms of what happens next for us, that would be our patron topics. So we have arrived at that part of the show. As a reminder, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/gvgaming, where if you support us at the producer tier or above, you can suggest topics for us to discuss each week, just like the ones we're about to discuss now. And Daniel, what is your patron topic for the week, man?
My patron topic for the week is from Vedron, is asking if there were more platform celebration games like Smash Brothers and Astrobot, what genre would you like them to take gameplay wise? What would the celebration be?
Ooh,
I was thinking about this for a bit.
that's a good one.
Um, yeah, for a moment I was trying to think like a Sega party game, but then I already remember like we just talked about how we have like a game like Sonic and Sonic Racing, Sonic All Stars and Racing Transformed, and the other Sonic racing games. Like there's so many
Right.
genres, there's so many characters and and everything across
Yeah.
Sega that's in there represented, whether it's the characters themselves or the stage, the race, the tracks that we race on. I always remember I was really happy when uh you're on the Race of Ages, which is like their version of Rainbow Road, and it's playing the Space Harrier soundtrack in the background. Like the one song that I've always had stuck in my head, because way back when I had just the Game Gear and Space Harrier 2, my dad and I would play back and forth Space Harrier, and that one theme that plays on the Race of Ages, that theme was always stuck in my head, and that was just a nice little thing that made me smile, because there's no Space Harrier racer. It's just the track itself or the theme from it. But yeah, it's hard to determine what you would exactly do gameplay wise, or what that hasn't already been done. Because like fighting games are probably the easiest ones. You got ones like Smash
Yeah.
Brothers. You have like Marvel versus Capcom is the other like huge one that people will take as like, oh yeah, this is a big old collection of characters and brands and properties that just want to beat each other up. And then there's also, yeah, with Astrobot, it's like you have to be careful, I guess, because in a game like Astrobot, like, everybody is really equally represented in that way. There's no one,
Yeah.
there's not rule. I mean, except for the ones that are specifically like purely PlayStation properties, like God of War, for example. They get entire stage levels dedicated to that. That changes the gameplay. But other than like their own properties, everyone else that isn't, PlayStation properties, like third parties and whatnot, they're all represented pretty evenly. There's a few of each in some categories. You can interact with them, and they do little references to their games, which is always fun to see. And they're very faithful to those original games, even though they're very short and sweet. But yeah, celebration. I guess we could do like a party game. Let's do a party game.
Uh-huh. like a Nintendo Party type thing, like Mario Party, but across various IPs.
Something silly like that. Yeah, even like that, or like a Fortune Street as well. Because I mean, you had like Mario and Dragon Quest back then, but you could like just have so many other characters just kind of huddled together, and they can all just play on the board game and do stocks together. Why not? But yeah, party games, I mean, that seems like another good fit for having a collection of characters together. The boards can reference other stages as well, other titles and whatnot. I'd be just get like oh man, like a Fortune Street, but it's like all JRPG characters, like all across the board, all kinds of JRPG genres. Like, I think it could be genre wide or platform wide as well, like with Astrobot. I don't know. There's something
Man.
like that. I think that's possible. That'd be funny.
I mean, oh, that's so hard. There's so much that I could think that I would want to see. I mean, people have joked about Capcom versus Capcom before, but like honestly, Capcom has so many IPs and characters that I love that I think just a Capcom fighting game across all different Capcom IPs would be really cool. Like, you see them cross over in games against other IPs like Marvel, Tatsunoko, all that, but just a Capcom universe fighting game I think could be pretty cool. Um, Man, I mean, we talked about Nintendo versus Capcom before. I mean, I agree with you that fighting games seem to be the naturally best vector for this sort of, gaming multiple platform celebration, multiple IP crossover celebration. Fighting games do seem to kind of be the natural vector for that, but not necessarily the only one. Clearly, Astrobot is doing it right now as a platformer. But I still think I love the idea of Nintendo versus Capcom. I mean, imagine like a 2D pixel art fighter with various, Capcom and Nintendo IPs. I want to see that happen, man. Like we've seen a bunch of fan games with really cool pixel art of Nintendo's characters. Imagine something like that, but with the budget of like a big title, funded by both companies. Like that could be really cool. Um, as Kalagruma says in our live audience chat, platformer punch out or party game like Ristar, Rystar, Arrow, Crash, Banjo Kazooie. I was kind of thinking like it would be cool to have a kind of an Astrobot type thing, but among like Capcom platformer, like his Capcom. Well, not even just Capcom. Like have an Astrobot type thing, but have it feature and have characters playable from various major platformer franchises like Castlevania, Mega Man, Mario, like a crossover platformer starring all the biggest platformer characters. Banjo Kazooie, like I think that would be really cool. Man, it's so hard, but yeah, I think I keep kind of coming back to fighting games at the end of the day, and I mean, just not even just Nintendo versus Capcom. Like do a Project Cross Zone type thing where you get like Capcom versus Sega versus Bandai Namco versus everyone. Like get them all in there. I think that would be probably the coolest thing that I could see happen. And the closest we've gotten to that is Smash Brothers Ultimate, and obviously we love that roster. So I'd love to see something else happen in that space, but maybe with more of a traditional 2D fighter, or maybe make it something like Power Stone, where it's like a 3D party fighter, and then you make it wacky that way. But I do kind of keep coming back to fighting games at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool if they just did something like a. I'm always waiting to see if they're gonna do a Project Cross Zone 3 with more
Oh
a
yeah.
wider roster. Because you look at the title screen, or not title, but the box art of the Project Cross Zone 2. You got like Resident Evil, Tekken is on there, Phoenix Wright, Mega Man, obviously.
Yeah.
Ooh La La's on there.
Yeah.
Tales of Vesperia, Ryu's obviously there. God Eater, Valkyrie from the like really old Namco. Like, there's so many properties that you can like mix together. Darkstalkers is here as well.
Yeah.
Freaking Shenmue is also
Yeah.
there's
Shenmue, Valkyria Chronicles, as Caitlin says. Yeah, I mean, and to answer your question, Alpha Lion, yes, Gex and Bubsy would be invited to the platformer crossover. Make it weird, man. Arrow the Acrobat's invited. Zero the
oh
Kamikaze
man.
Squirrel's invited. Like, they're all there, man. Xenosaga, yeah.
Speaking
Like, there's so much they could do with this. And, like, I want to invite Square Enix to the party, but we know that Square is notoriously protective of their characters and would likely charge, these other whoever the holder is for this dream game would charge way too much for the use of their characters, let alone more than one, right?
man, just want to get that always makes me appreciate how much we even got in like Smash Brothers Ultimate when we have like Kyle
Yeah.
Sephiroth, all the heroes as well. Sora, that's not gonna happen again anytime soon. But
Exactly.
yeah, that just kind of it's kind of funny how that kind of made the whatchamacallit, the crossover even stronger than games like PlayStation All Stars when the real PlayStation All Stars were in Smash Brothers all along.
Right. I know, right? I think if I like had to realistically confine it to like let's say 3 developers, I think the one I'd want to see most is like Nintendo versus Sega versus Capcom. I think like those, and not counting Square because I just don't see that happening. But like, and I don't really see this happening at all. But I just feel like Square just would not play ball. Whereas like
Mhm.
those 3 have so many mascots and characters that I love that I think like if I had to pick 3, it would be like those represent fully enough the number of characters I'd want to see in a crossover like this. And Wataniaki, bring up Bandai Namco, they're close. I think they'd be number 4, but there are just so many characters I love from Sega and Capcom and Nintendo, right? So it's so hard though. There are so many great possibilities here, and it's a great question, Vedron. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to add on that, Daniel?
No, I think that's pretty much what I had thoughts on that one in particular.
Alrighty, well then, cool. We'll move on to my topic for the week then, and this one's a spicy one. This one comes from Dad Alpha Lion, and I'm glad you're here for today's show because you know what you did. This is a spicy one, and I'm going to add a little twist to it too that I think will be fun. So Alpha Lion for this week, you asked, hey, I'm saying here we go. Hey GVG, it's PS1 tribute time. You can only pick one of these specific sets of PS1 games to play that came from a reputable Japanese third-party company. What you see is what you're getting, so don't try to pull any funny tricks with the listings here. Also, any arcade ports shown will be based on their PS1 versions. Anyways, now it's time to pick a side and fight for your honor. So your 4 sets of options are as follows. The Capcom set, Mega Man Legends 2, Street Fighter Alpha 2, Resident Evil 2, and Rival Schools. The Namco set, Tekken 3, Pac-Man World, Klonoa 1, and Ridge Racer Type 4. The Konami set, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Silent Hill, and Suikoden 2. And finally, the Squaresoft set, Final Fantasy IX, Xenogears, Legend of Mana, and Chrono Cross. So, I mean, God, this is both extremely difficult and maybe made a little bit easier in that you are only allowing us to pick from these specific 4 sets of games, at least for me. Now, if we were talking about their entire lineup, it would be, I think, even harder. It's really hard for me to give up all these, honestly. And I guess I can't imagine not having Mega Man Legends 2 and Rival Schools. Just like I can't imagine not having Klonoa and Tekken 3. But I also can't imagine not having Silent Hill, Castlevania, and Metal Gear. I didn't play Suikoden back in the day. I've heard it's amazing. I'm going to correct that, hopefully, with the remaster. But then you come to Square, and I mean, I can't personally imagine my life without all 4 of these games. So I think that as much as it hurts to give up anything Mega Man, and especially the Konami set, my heart is going with Square. FF9, Xenogears, Legend of Mana, Chrono Cross, and then that's not even counting if you go outside this. Games like Parasite Eve, Brave Fencer Musashi, like FF7, FF8, FF Tactics, like even whether it's just these 4 games or the broader picture, I think it has to go to Square but it's close. It's a really hard choice. And before you answer, Daniel, this is the twist that I mentioned. I actually made a poll on straw poll, so you could all uh, participate and vote with us and see where we all come collectively. So I'm going to post the poll in live audience as well as our Twitch chat, and then throw it over to you, Daniel, and tell us what your pick would be, dude.
Let's see. Let me go ahead and pin that.
Oh, perfect. Good idea.
Let's see what people think for this one. Yeah, Squaresoft, man, like Final Fantasy IX is definitely one of the best Final Fantasies out there. Like out of anything that's ever been done by Square Enix, Final Fantasy IX is always going to be one of my favorites. And like,
Hmm.
yeah, Xenogears, Legend of Mana, Chrono Cross. Chrono Cross is that one where I still haven't completed it entirely all the way through because I know it's.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've beaten Chrono Trigger, but I know Chrono Cross still has its merits as well.
It does. It's such
Um,
a good game.
yeah, I think of all these, I was looking at them over probably the Konami set for me. Like, you guys,
Yeah.
Silent Hill, Suikoden 2 also is one I need to involve myself with more. But like Metal Gear Solid, the original Metal Gear Solid, that's really is just a classic. It's a game that made a family member of mine sit down and just like, what is this? Like, because it was so cinematic and movie like, and it
Yeah.
was just so fascinating that it looked so bad, quote unquote, but it was so cinematic and Hollywood inspired.
Yeah.
Of course, it's its own genre now of all time classics, but yeah, that one, and then I mean, Castlevania Symphony of the Night is one that I played not super long ago. I think it was a Castlevania Requiem that came with Rondo of Blood, and Symphony of the Night
Yes.
was a one time that I really got myself into that one. And even if I got it, even though I never owned a PlayStation 1, so this entire list is like there's some gaps here and there everywhere. But of all these, I think Symphony of the Night had the biggest effect on me. I think because
Mm.
that I mean, that was like one of the games that helped define the whole Metroidvania genre back in the day. And so, yeah, to see where that came from, done so well, and just everything about it, I love that title very much. One of my favorite Castlevanias. So yeah, I would say the Konami set is the one I would land on for as far as which one I would defend.
That's a really good answer. Konami, I think, out of these four sets of games specifically, Konami is my second place. Um, it's hard though because I would never want to give up Klonoa or Ridge Racer, but yeah, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and Silent Hill are just such a strong trilogy of games and or set of games, I should say. And yeah, and even frequent positron in chat saying, "Man, how can you not choose Konami?" Well, because Square is also here, and it's like,
And
and
Ash
Chrono
already took
Cross is one of
Square.
my favorite games of all time, and I can't, I love Chrono Cross to death. So, but see, then if you expand it beyond these four games, and then you think about Capcom, and I'd be having to give up like all the Mega Man games, like Legends 1 and 2, Mega Man X4, well, X5 and X6, I could take your leave, but X4, 8, and then all the fighting games and so many other great games from Capcom's side and Konami's side. It's really, really hard, and Namco's. Cassius says maybe next time run the poll for a bit before giving your own answers. Fair enough. My bad. I didn't think my answers would influence anybody else's. I kind of figured that I should answer the question then introduce the poll because I didn't think I was going to be changing any minds personally. But I will keep that in mind for next time. I just thought it would be a fun twist. It does, and speaking of that poll, it does seem as though Square is the clear winner. I don't think that's because of me. I really don't think that's why. But
Political bias.
I
There
know,
you
right?
go.
People do seem to agree that Square
I
is
vote
is the
Konami
winner here. You voted Konami. Oh, I just saw it
because
change.
I'm
So Konami
biased.
is in second place, Namco's in third, and then Capcom is in last with only 3 games. And I wonder if that's because of the specific games listed for Capcom.
I think people just understand that Final Fantasy IX is the best game on this whole list, and that's why they chose Square.
Ooh, that's also spicy to say because then you're calling into question Chrono Cross, Metal Gear Solid, Symphony of the Night. I mean, damn. But FF9 is extremely good. You know, I've been hearing some weird backlash lately, and this is just anecdotal, but I think I've seen some takes recently on Symphony of the Night where people who are playing it today are like, well, you know, it's not actually that good. It was never really that good, and I think it's time to re-examine Symphony of the Night, and maybe it's not as good as people always said it was. No, it is. What are you talking? It
Oh
is
man, I can't
an
wait to.
incredible game.
I'm gonna look up the next like 5 hour video essay on Symphony of the Night retrospective right after this.
No, Symphony of the Night rules, especially the original dub. You got to play it with the original dub because it's just iconic. Yeah, the rationale that I'm seeing a lot, Alpha Line, is that the inverted castle sucks, but I don't think so. I disagree. I think it was such a cool twist back in the day, and it's still a cool twist now.
It's very
And
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I think Symphony of the Night is an amazing game, and one of the reasons it was so hard for me to pick Square over Konami. But yeah, so I hope you all thought that was as fun and spicy as I thought it was going to be. That's why I picked it. I think it led to some really fun chatter. Thank you again for that, Alpha Lion. Super appreciate it. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
that brings us to the end of our patron topics for the week, and pretty much the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 115 of the GVG cast. Obviously, the show took a week off last week because we were all recovering from everything, PAX and Gamescom and everything. So thanks for bearing with us, but we should be back next week for episode 116. Of course, we'll be heading out to our patron exclusive post show shortly, but before that, as always, we have to give an extra special thank you to all of our patrons at the producer tier and above for helping to make everything we do here happen. We seriously couldn't do it without you. And as always, we have to give an extra special thank you to all of our patrons at the executive producer tier and above. And those incredible, wonderful, amazing folks include Brandon Bovia, Fangs, OG Pepsi Dealer, Z Patty, Sky Blue Flames, Eastman 23, Adam O'Sullivan, Richard Herrera, Logan Daniel, The D-Pad, Blake, Joy Content, Angel Martinez, Vedran, Joshua Hunter, Benny Yao, Azran127, Black King, Geeky Griffin, Wataniac, Top Dog 23100, Young Ben Kenobi, Andrew Medeiros, Becca, Esax08, Michael McCaw, Matthew Wong, Goron Amber CPHT, Too Much Spaghetti, Bane 400, Ascaron 809, Ryaner, Game Bear Advance, The Game Orb, Super Gamer Dude 101, Rosa Pardo Bowling, Hi Steve's Mom, Dark Steel 01, Jason Uloa, Jaden Buck, Cystic Warrior 29, Derek, Holland, Blaystar 25, Wylord, Mumbling Yeti, Cameron Sharp, Keel, Hustlebun, Noah Fitterer, Calvin Atkinson, Brainchild, Jim Wakeland, Aramis Baramis, Lord Metarex, Blaze Collard, Eric, Cat Evie Person 5, Mega Beatman True Blue Reviews, Ryan Hanley, Somnia, The Game Jamie, Zombie Joe, and last but never least, Marathon Max. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for episode 115 of the GVG cast. We will see you next Friday for episode 116, and in the meantime, have a wonderful weekend. Good night and good vibes. Bye, everybody.
Till we meet again.